Hello and welcome to Nick and Mel's Hyperspace. I'm Nick, and we wanted to do a little introduction because we have some major news coming for the podcast. So, Season 4 has been delayed a little bit because of life, but we do have plans. What we're calling this fourth season is going to be a transitional season as we are making some major changes and shakeups. But this final season of Nick and Mel's Hyperspace is going to be subtitled Looking to the Horizon, and we will be rebirthed to something different. We're going to be going through the year of 2026, and by the end of that and the start of 27, our hope is to have a brand new podcast with a new title.
And the podcast will go from there. We really wanted to continue what we're doing because we love what we're doing. But as Nick was saying, sometimes life gets in the way. And I have decided that I'm going to remain in the podcast until the end of 2026. And then Nick is going to be taking the reins and continuing on after that. I will, of course, be here and there joining the podcast as a guest. But starting in 2027, Nick will be doing all the work, and I will be here when I can. Life is an interesting thing. We have loved doing this, and we want to continue it. And just because Carmelo can't do it, we didn't really want to stop. And so we are just making sure that, like the Phoenix, we will be transforming this podcast from Season 4, looking to the horizon, to something else at the beginning of 2027.
Yeah. So you have us for at least a whole other year. We're going to have some fun episodes. A lot of stuff coming up next year. So a lot of stuff to talk about. We have some episodes that are in the works that we've been thinking about doing, but we keep kicking the can down the road, and we're finally getting to them. So that'll be fun. So
whether I'm here or not, I will always be Nick's Star Wars puppet. So that will never change.
You'll be around. He's not going anywhere. Less frequently, but he'll still be around. So we'll shake it up a little bit. But when we figure out the exact name and the exact transition looks like in 27, we have a year to figure that out. So I'll let you guys know, and there'll be a big announcement about it. So, but just enjoy this new and final season of Nick and Mel's Hyperspace, and look to the horizon for something different in the future.
Indeed. May the Force be with us and you.
Yes. All right, and welcome back to Nick and Mel's Hyperspace. Before we begin our episode today, I do want to talk about a new little endeavor we're going to do for each episode of the podcast. Given the state of the world that we live in right now, I think it is important to help those in need, because that is what the Jedi would do. That is what the Rebellion would do, and we support the Jedi Rebellion here. So we want to, before we start each episode, we're going to talk about a new charity each episode that's helping a cause that Carmelo and I deeply care about. Given my background in social work, I love to highlight the injustices in society and ways we can combat that and ways we can fight that. So at the beginning of each episode, we'll highlight a charity of the episode, and we'll post links to the charities on the episode description so you guys can go support them or learn more about them and share their information and share the good work that they're doing. Today, because this is very topical, and it's been topical for a number of years now, but I wanted to talk about the Amica Center in Washington, D.C. That is a nonprofit based in Washington, D.C. They started in the late 90s as an independent nonprofit. Basically what they do is provide legal and social services for immigrant children and adults who are either detained or in risk of being detained, and kind of help them through the legal process and help them kind of transition to the United States in a safe and, compassionate way. And the recent events in the last year with ICE and this attack on immigrants here, I think it's important to highlight their work. And, this is just one of the many charities around the country and nonprofits around the country that are doing this and fighting the good fight. But this is a big one of the bigger ones in the country. So I wanted to highlight that. But I would always suggest, if you guys, and you're wherever you're from, look in your local area, look at the capital of your state. They also have organizations similar to this. But, as somebody that's a natural born citizen, I grew up here. Carmelo, I know you're from Puerto Rico, and I know that is a U.S. territory, but I'm sure you have a lot you could say about your experience coming to America for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
So, like I said, Carmelo's not from here, but do you want to speak on your experience a little bit about, I know you've worked with a lot of people and a lot of students that are not from this country.
Well, as a Latin American studies professor, I teach migration and immigration, and I also have I teach at a college that is almost 30% Latino. And so the problems of immigrations are very real, especially I live in Chicago, so the Mexican community and the Central American communities are very large. And as you were saying, it's really interesting because each major city has legal advice centers. And so depending on where you live, you might want to reach out or at least be informed about sort of the local offices or the local nonprofits that are doing this kind of really important work because immigrants have very little access and they're not as educated in the way that the system works here.
Yes.
This is what happens when you move to another country. Things are different, and it's really important to be aware of those places for your neighbors, workers, people that work with you, parents of friends of your children. I mean, we are everywhere.
Yes.
And so it's really important to be informed and educated.
And like I said, in my background in social work, I understand the importance of social justice, and immigrants right now are under a lot of scrutiny and a lot of misinformation out there. So definitely look into the Amicus Center and other nonprofits. I highly encourage that. In my opinion, and I know Carmelo agrees with me, this country wouldn't be here without immigrants. They are the backbone of this country, and we would not be the country we are without them. Definitely support your local community, support your neighbors and your friends, learn more information, donate if you can, and then just spread the message. And this is a long battle. It's been going on this isn't new. This is an issue we've had for many years, but given the recent, administration we have, it's been definitely attacked more, and a lot more stress has been put on it. So just to help those in need, definitely look into them and support the cause if you can. And I appreciate you guys giving us a minute just to speak on this. And again, I'll post the links in the description so you guys can follow them and kind of donate or learn more information about immigration.
Awesome.
Well, now to our episode. Thank you guys for listening.
You're now entering Nick and Melo's hyperspace.
I'm Nick, and my favorite character in The Force Awakens has to be Kylo Ren.
And I'm Carmelo, and it took me a while to decide on one, but I have decided on Rey as my favorite character, with Han Solo as a very close second. It's a very close second.
In our journeys through hyperspace, we examine anything and everything Star Wars from the point of view of two lifelong fans, one young, one old, who came together through the will of the Force.
And in this episode, we are going to celebrate the 10th anniversary of The Force Awakens. We are both old now because it's been 10 years.
That's crazy.
Since The Force Awakens came out. And, it's been 10 years, so we don't have to worry about spoilers. Everybody knows what happens.
Yes.
But we want to talk about the movie. We want to talk about the response to the movie. We want to talk about the build-up to the movie. And talk about our favorite things about it, because there's a whole culture about the release of a new Star Wars film and the release of the first of the 3 films in the sequel trilogy. So we wanted to dedicate an episode on what I think is a wonderful movie. I have completely lost track of how many times I've seen it. At least 30 times. At least 30 times. At least.
Same here. I didn't really have to rewatch the movie to prepare for this, but I wanted to just because I hadn't seen it in a while. And
yep, me too.
It's just a fun watch. It's really quick and it's really paced really nicely. It just flows beautifully throughout the whole movie. Time flies so quickly in this movie. So
I saw that it was like. Say that again.
It was not a hard watch at all. It was very breezy.
Not at all. Not at all. Every time I see it, it's like, oh my God, it's 2 hours and 20 minutes. How am I going to finish this? And then the time just flies. It just goes and goes and goes and goes. It's just really wonderfully paced. Really wonderfully paced.
They not to do it, I think. Well.
All right.
So.
Well, you want to start?
Let's time travel. Let's go back to 2015. To the year of our Lord in 2015. Much different time in my life. I'm sure much different time in your life. World, for that matter. What do you remember about the build-up? This was a couple years in the making because we knew a Star Wars movie was coming. And then we got the big announcement that Disney purchased Lucasfilm, and then they were working on it for about a couple of years. And then do you remember where you were when you saw the first trailer? Do you remember how excited
you were? What I remember is that my nephews were the ones that told me when the trailer had dropped.
Okay.
I found out on the same day. It's not like days later, but they knew that I was a gigantic Star Wars fan. They knew that I was excited about the possibility of a new movie, and they knew that I was excited about a new movie coming out. And my nephew Toby sent me a message with a little YouTube link, and I saw this preview, and Finn comes out of the screen with the stormtrooper with the stormtrooper armor, but not the helmet on, and I'm like, what? And so I just completely fell in love. I don't know where I was. I don't remember where I was. Maybe on the train in my way to work. I don't remember at all. But I do remember that, and there were, I think, 3 different trailer sets.
I think so.
And so my nephews were they were always the first people to send me a link. The next one has dropped. I think I saw the first 2, and then I refused to see the third because I didn't want to see too much.
Huh.
So I never saw the third one, but the first 2 I saw, and they were just wonderful.
Oh, they're fun.
I was very excited. And I remember the Phantom Menace build-up, and I remember this build-up. But the gigantic difference is that we had an active internet for The Force Awakens. In 1999, we needed to go to the movies to see the trailer.
Yeah.
And so there was, I don't know how many times I saw that thing. The other thing that I remember that I just absolutely adored was, I don't know how many times I saw that.
I love that. That was fun.
I just watched it and watched it and watched it and watched it and watched it. It was
They had Carrie Fisher was in it.
Yeah.
Harrison Ford
Han
was
Solo at the very end. Dun, 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 dun,
yeah.
dun, dun, dun.
I mean, it was cool. It was so neat. I loved that.
It was really, really fun. So there was this whole world of
Excitement.
promotion around it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
That was very exciting to me. Really exciting to me.
It was not this movie. It was subsequent movies that really kind of people started being divided in the Star Wars fandom. But I remember for about a year or two, I felt like everybody was just happy about Star Wars and excited about Star Wars. There wasn't much arguing or bashing people for liking things, and it was kind of nice. It was fun being a Star Wars fan.
Yep.
I don't know if we'll ever get that feeling back. I missed that feeling. But that whole, I remember, 1.5, 2 years before that movie came out was so magical, so pure, It was just sense of wonder. Like, what could this be? It was so good.
I think one of the things that I remember is that there was a lot of sort of interviews with J.J. Abrams and Doug Chiang talking about that they were moving away from CGI and they were going back to sort of material objects. And it was really interesting because that was a thing that united many generations of Star Wars fans, and that they were very excited about being able to be on location in different places. And so that was one of the things that was part of the magic and part of the excitement.
Yeah.
That they were going back to the original trilogy's way of building the world of Star Wars rather than simply using computer graphics. And so it was interesting that was one of sort of the elements that different generations together.
It was interesting. And then I watched
because that separated a lot of people in the work too.
That's funny, but I think that whole scene with the Millennium Falcon flying through the Death Star, I'm pretty sure that was all CG.
Yes, it is, of course.
But yeah, I know what you meant. Yeah, I always found that funny because I remember watching that for the first time being like, this is not practical. There's no way this is practical. But it was cool. It was a neat shot. But yeah,
I love that scene.
Yeah, it's a fun scene. But
Rey trying to figure out how to fly the Falcon
felt
felt so marvelous. It's one of the things that I liked about this movie, seeing the remains of a battle, the Battle of Jakku, and seeing all the ruins, and she's living on an AT-8, and then the whole battle of, escaping with the Millennium Falcon and going through all the Star Destroyers and all of that. I found that really, narratively interesting. Because we have never seen ruins of battles. Never. Never. This is the first time that we see this is what happens. There's almost like an environmental effect to the battle. And that desert is just littered with junk, like literal junk. And to me, that was really exciting. Really, really exciting.
And it does something really cool that it's world building, because not only do we see remnants of the end of the war, we see Rey and all the scavengers that live on that planet. It created a whole community and a whole world.
Correct.
Yeah, it was. So there was a narrative purpose there too, not just because that's where it wanted to be, but it served a purpose for the story. It was really cool, seeing a whole industry, a whole market of scavengers and parts being sold and traded. So it was neat. It was very fun. Something we don't see in Star Wars a lot.
Yeah. Star Wars is creating an informal sector of the economy.
Right.
People come to Jakku, literally, where people come to Jakku to
parts.
scavenge ships for parts.
Yeah.
So there's
Make a
an
living,
entire economy and then an entire culture
whole
and then an
business
entire community built on the ruins
of a
of
war.
the Battle of Jakku. It's really interesting. Just
Yeah,
really, really interesting to me. I remember the first time I saw the movie, like my brain was going like 80 miles an hour
yeah,
because there were all of these images and I just kept thinking, oh wow, oh wow, oh wow, oh wow. Because there's a story, but then there's all these other stories that you create as you see all these things,
mm-hmm.
which I found just really, 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 really fascinating.
Jakku.
Jakku and the visual.
The extra narratives that are created by the images that we see. Are there any other things that you remember from the build up?
Yeah, I mean, I remember a lot of I think this was like one of the first movies that I remember like really like learning or reading about the behind the scenes, about who's been casted, you know, who's the writer, who's the director. I remember before they announced J.J. Abrams directing, I was like, ooh, who's going to make this movie, you know? A lot of names were being floated out there, and then
Yeah.
the original writer, Michael Arndt, wrote one of my favorite movies, Toy Story 3, and I was like, great, this is going to be wonderful. And then I just remembered them announcing, yeah, Harrison Ford's coming back, Carrie Fisher's coming back, and I was just ecstatic. It was one of the first times I remember being like in the know about the movie, about like what's going on, the build up.
Oh, interesting.
I remember seeing the behind the scenes or reading about the behind the scenes of what's going on and following it. So yeah, I mean, it was cool. I remember going to see the movie with family and friends, and we went opening weekend. There was probably about 10 or 15 of us, and I remember the funniest part was when Han Solo died. I remember I was sitting at the very end, and everybody on the road just looked at me, waiting to see my reaction. I was like, "What do you want me to do? I can't do it." This is fun. I don't know if anything will ever recapture that magic for me, but it was a good time.
I saw it on the first day, second screening, so it was like 11 o'clock in the morning.
Nice.
Joseph took his day off, and we went to see a 3D version of it.
Okay.
10 minutes away from our house. And it was completely packed. There were a few people in cosplay, although I don't remember what cosplays they were. But it was funny, the technology of 3D in 2015 is very different from now. The movie sort of felt dark. I don't know if because of the glasses or what, but then I went to see it regular, and then it was sort of like beautiful and shiny and all of that. But it was still really wonderful. And I had seen J.J. Abrams' television shows, and I knew that he likes killing characters. So I came into the movie thinking, okay, who's going to die?
Yeah.
From the people that we are meeting, or one of the old people, or what's going to happen? So I was not expecting Han Solo to die, but I did expect someone to die.
Yeah. It makes sense.
And I remember seeing the movie, and I wanted to see it the next day so bad. I couldn't. I had to wait several days before I could see it again, but I just could not. And the soundtrack, oh my God.
So good.
I played that soundtrack to death.
I have to see.
I would just lie down in my sofa, play the whole thing in my headphones, and just sort of recreate the movie in my head as I was listening to the music. Because it's a brilliant score.
That's nice.
The new themes are wonderful. Ray's theme is wonderful. The March of the Resistance, the music for Snoke. It's just really wonderful. It's just really wonderful. So that was another way that I would watch the movie without watching the movie, by playing the soundtrack.
Another thing I remember, the opening night, the Thursday, they used to do the Thursday. I don't know if they still do the Thursday showings.
Yeah, they do.
They still do. Okay, so the Thursday showing, I worked right next to a movie theater at a store. And when I got off work that evening, about 8 o'clock or so, I think the first screening was at like 8 o'clock. Maybe, I don't remember what time it was. It was somewhere around that time, but I remember I went over just to see, because there was tons of cosplayers. That was the most packed I've ever seen this movie theater. So I just went, because I couldn't get tickets. It was already sold out. But I just went, talked to cosplayers. There was like an old man dressed up like Obi-Wan.
Oh, fun.
There was somebody that actually put up a Kylo Ren costume before, I guess he made it from the trailer. I remember that was a big deal, because everybody's like, whoa, that's so cool. It was pretty cool. It was in Chattanooga, and there was like tons of people out there. Like I had never seen so many people in a movie theater before.
I didn't see it Thursday night. I saw it Friday morning.
I think I saw it on Saturday. So a couple days
later. I saw it on Friday, but in the morning, early in the morning. Because I remember Joseph didn't go to work that day, so he could come see the movie with me.
I think we went Saturday around lunchtime. So about 1 o'clock, I think is when we went. So, yeah. But I'd never seen a movie theater that packed, and that was crazy. So it was wild.
Well, I mean, as you said, there was a lot of expectation, a lot of hype, and the last Star Wars movie was 2005.
The 10 years
So
at
it
that
was
point.
literally 10 years, and so there was a lot of excitement. Really was a lot of excitement. When I was watching it yesterday and today, I basically had a smile on my face the entire time.
Yeah.
And the funny moments are very funny.
Yeah, they lands.
Han Solo is so funny in this movie. He's just hilarious.
He's so good. He is so good in this movie.
Oh,
Might
ball.
be one of my favorite Han Solo. My favorite version of Han Solo. Like he's so funny. I love old man Han Solo.
I do too.
Was there any like revelations in this movie that you were like when you first saw it were surprised by or shocked by that you were like, wow, can't believe they did that, or wow, that's where they're going?
I loved the whole sequence of Rey touching Luke's lightsaber and getting the past and the future in it with what happened with Luke and Vader back in Empire Strikes Back, what happens with Kylo Ren destroying the temple, the image of Luke and R2, and then the future of Rey in the snowscape at Starkiller Base. I love that scene.
That's so cool.
Love that scene. And it was exciting because we don't get things like that in the movies.
Mm-mm.
Clone Wars had done a few things like that by 2015, but in the movies you don't have things like that. Something that I noticed this time that I hadn't really paid attention to is that the movie takes its time to let us know that Rey is sensitive to the Force. And I sort of like that it sort of very gradually happens rather than something that we know at the beginning of the film and then we see the development. It's something that people around her are discovering at the same time that we are discovering it. And I thought that was really quite wonderful. Because that scene that I just mentioned when she touches the lightsaber, that could be something that the lightsaber is doing to her, not necessarily something that she is doing because she's Force sensitive. So even in that scene, you don't get a sense that she is Force sensitive. Right. It's not until later that you start realizing that she is. Mm-hmm. And so I like that arc. I probably understood it unconsciously, but it was nice to sort of put two and two together, narratively speaking, that there's this very gradual realization that Rey is Force sensitive. And by Last Jedi, it's there. It's totally there. And so it's really, I really like that. I really, really like that. What did you think of Mas Caneda's bar, coffee shop, restaurant? I don't know what to call it.
I love it. I love Mas Caneda. She's one of my favorite characters that came from this movie. She showed up over places now, but she's great. I love her. This movie does something really cool with the telling us a lot about the characters without them having to say what they're feeling or what they're thinking. We learn a lot about Rey and Finn in their introductions. They don't say a word, but we can tell Finn is conflicted, Rey is lonely. They don't have to say it out loud. We can just see their lives, what they're going through. And then we can see when Maz tells Finn, I've seen your eyes so many times. You're scared. You're a man that wants to run. They wear it on their face. They don't even have to say it out loud. Everybody can see the type of people they are. And that's one of the few things that I think a lot of movies, not just Star Wars, all movies in general, they show, don't tell. And they do a super good job of that in this whole movie. You get that Han, without him even saying it out loud. He does talk to Leia about it later, but he's a broken down, depressed, lost his wife, his son, his best friend. All that's gone. And the movie does so good at that. And I really wish more movies would take cues from this movie for doing stuff like that, because you don't need the characters to do anything except act, and the actors do a really good job selling it. So good. The acting is superior in this movie. I'm not going to bash on the prequels. I like those movies, but to me, when I remember watching this movie, being like, "Wow, these actors are they're into it." Like I felt like some moments in the prequels where the actors were not. They didn't care. They're just this. I felt like these were real characters. I really connected with them more so than I did some of the characters in the prequels. The cast did a wonderful job. It was a great cast. Everybody.
I agree.
Well, her little cantina bar. I mean, it was very reminiscent of the cantina in A New Hope.
Of course.
I love Han's line. He said, "Don't stare at anything, or don't stare at it. Stare." And Finn says, "That what?" He said, "Any of it." And
any of it.
You see so many wacky new creatures too. We get a lot of cool new creatures that show up later and other stuff.
Yeah.
It's so cool. I just
Go ahead.
I just like that. I want more of her. I hate that her castle was destroyed in this movie. I want more of it. I hope we get stuff in the future with her castle.
It's funny, when I was watching the movie this time, I was thinking, wouldn't it be nice if we had, once again, 40 stories of Force Awakens of the minor characters, like we did with the original trilogy books?
Yeah.
Because I kept thinking, it was like, oh, I want to know about that character. Oh, I want to know about that character. Oh, I want to know about that character. It was just really, really interesting, sort of wanting to expand the movie in that sense. Just when you were talking about the cantina in Force Awakens, Maz's cantina, when I went to Star Wars Celebration Orlando in 2017, which was my first celebration, I had no idea where my car had been parked.
Oh, no.
And I had rented a car, so I didn't even remember what color. I didn't remember anything. And I noticed that there were these bikes that would take you to your car. It was like a guy in a bike with a little back seat and things like that. I don't know what they're called. And so I went to one and I said, I know that I'm in the South Park of the convention center, but I don't know where my car is. Can you take me there? I can't find it by walking. It was the end of the day. I was exhausted. So he put his helmet on and he started playing Star Wars music.
That's cool.
And he went through the entire southern parking until he found my car. One of the pieces of music that he played is the music in Maz's Cantina, which I had never heard as a piece of music because it's not in the soundtrack. And I was so excited that he was playing Maz's Cantina music while I was trying to find my car. It was a crazy end of it. And I had like posters and all the stuff that I had bought, and I was exhausted. I was dressed up in my Luke Skywalker costume. It was the end of the day. I had no idea where my car was. And this man just made it. He just did it because he started playing all this music. And he was like writing as if we were in an X-Wing fighter, like going through columns and turning and curving and all of this stuff. I think I gave him like a $25 tip.
Yeah, he deserved it.
Because it was like, this was an experience,
Yeah.
This was a Star Wars ride. But he played Mascanetta's, which
That's
Lin-Manuel Miranda, the writer from Hamilton, he wrote the music. He wrote that song.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think he found it in Spotify. That's what he said, where they had it as a song. So I know that's like 2 years after Force Awakens, but it was still a Force Awakens moment.
Oh no, it's a relevant moment
From the movie itself. It was really wonderful. And it's really interesting that Force Awakens is what makes me want to start cosplaying.
It is.
My first cosplay is Luke Skywalker at the end of Force Awakens. That's my very first cosplay that I didn't make. My friend Rebecca made for me because at that time I didn't know how to sew. And I still wear it and I still love it.
You look good in it.
It's one that I dearly love.
That's crazy. Yeah. I guess I forgot to mention this. This was years after as well, but first movie I saw in concert was The Force Awakens.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I forgot about it.
Wow, I would have loved that.
3 years ago now, the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra did the concert. I forgot. Yeah, I forgot all about that. No, you were talking about experiences after The Force Awakens.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that was the first Star Wars movie, or first movie I saw in concert in general. So that was a cool.
Interesting.
It was a really cool experience.
Interesting. Yeah, that would have been fun because the music is marvelous.
Yeah, no, the scene
music is marvelous.
March of the Resistance with the X-wings. That's one of my favorite. That was my laptop's screen, like my background for probably like 4 years, and that's a beautiful shot. And then the music with it is so nice. And then the Rey pulling the saber in the snow, that got a big cheer. I remember at the concert, that was a cool moment. I remember seeing that in theaters, being like goosebumps all over. I was like, oh my goodness, I didn't know I needed that. That was so neat.
Yeah.
What a good fight too. What a great.
I would love to hear Force Awakens in a concert. That would be really good.
Nice.
I've only done Return of the Jedi, and I'm doing New Hope next summer. I bought tickets for the Chicago Symphony.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Doing New Hope next year.
Those are the two movies I've seen: New Hope and Force Awakens.
Okay. So I've seen Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens. So
that's fun.
Well, New Hope I will see. I haven't seen it yet.
At the time we're
as the audience knows, we're not Star Wars haters at all. But were there any like little tiny issues that you had with the film?
So this is a personal thing. This isn't like it didn't ruin the movie. And I remember not liking it at the time I saw the movie. But it didn't ruin the movie. It was nothing to do with the story. It was just I remember watching the movie, and throughout the movie they did all these little references and callbacks to the original trilogy about the game that Chewbacca and 3PO played, or
Right.
Parsec comment, or the trash can, like just so many little things that I'm like, I don't need to be reminded that I'm watching a Star Wars movie. I know I'm watching Star Wars. So many times, I felt like it was too much for me. It was once or
Okay.
twice would have been cute, but like they did it over and over, and I was like, okay, I get it. And they carried it over a little bit in Rogue One, and I was still like, okay, I think Disney's kind of really wanting to milk this cow dry. But it was their first one, so I kind of gave them a pass. But that was one thing where I'm like, that's just kind of annoying to me. Like I said,
Interesting.
didn't ruin the story. Just a personal pet peeve of mine that I'm like, okay, I know you don't have to remind me I'm watching Star Wars. I get it. I know what I'm watching. I know the history of these movies.
I remember it was really interesting. I remember those things didn't bother me because they were very quick.
They were.
For example, I did not when Poe is looking for pieces in the Millennium Falcon and he pulls out the the training little ball with sabers with the lasers. That one I didn't even catch the first time I saw the movie because Joseph mentioned it afterwards, and I'm like, what? I don't remember that. So those things didn't bother me so much. I remember there was a lot of conversation about, and I think even George Lucas said this, that Force Awakens in a way is a rewrite of New Hope. That there's lots of things that are sort of using the structure of New Hope and adding it to it. And a lot of people were turned off by that. I absolutely love that. That the writers sort of took the structure of the first film and came up with a different film that still is making connections with the other film.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was clever and fun and really, 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 really interesting. So it didn't bother me at all. That didn't bother me at all. And I know that a lot of people of my generation were sort of like, they just remade the movie. And I'm like, well, not quite. They're making references to it, but this is a very different film. Renegade Stormtrooper, excuse me, that is not original trilogy material. And so it's just really, really interesting. And a dark-sider like Kylo Ren, who is a fascinating character. While in the original trilogy, the bad people were bad and the good people were good. End of story. So it's not the same film. It really is not the same film. It's sort of doing an homage to the structure of the original film. And I enjoyed that.
How cool. I like how you just made that comment about Kylo Ren, because how cool is it that we get, for the first time in this movie, we get a stormtrooper, because we never see the stormtrooper's point of views in the original trilogy at all.
Never.
So we get stormtrooper's point of view of life in a fascist military and their turn and why they don't want to do it. And then we get a dark side character for the first time. How many times have we seen a light side character being tempted by evil? This is the first time we see a dark side character tempted by the light.
Tempted by the light. Yes.
That's cool.
Yes.
We never see that.
That is not New Hope.
That is not a New Hope.
That is not anywhere. Anywhere.
Yeah, that's not prequel.
It just filled with such interesting things, and it was interesting next that at the beginning. Oh, I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
I was just saying, no, it just flips a lot of things we know about Star Wars.
It does.
Things that we wouldn't expect.
It does, and it's really. No, I lost my train of thought. No, it's okay. I was trying to be respectful, and I forgot. Okay, never mind. You had said something before the recording. It's gone. I'm old. I'm officially old now.
That's okay. We'll work around it.
I think the one thing that I wish Poe's first joke would have been better.
Yeah.
You talk first, I talk first. I always find it a little forced, a little artificial, and not very funny. But there are lots of funny moments. Han Solo steals the show. But that one is the one thing where I feel like that was not very good.
Yeah.
The rest, Carmelo is just, I'm either smiling or laughing or crying. Those are my three modes for this film. I adored this film. I'm a sequel trilogy fan.
I am a big sequel trilogy fan.
You're just going to have to deal with it. Not you, but like the audience.
So something I noticed years later, especially when it came to the discourse of like The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, is a lot of people's biggest complaints were these movies were not well planned. They were just out there. This movie does set up a lot of stuff that is paid off later, especially in The Rise of Skywalker. But even in The Last Jedi, when the whole mystery of where Luke is and why he's gone, literally Han says it in this movie. He says, they ask where Luke went or what happened to Luke, and he says, student turned on him, destroyed his academy, and he felt responsible, so he went into hiding.
Yep.
Literally
Yep.
sets it up right there. So it's not out of left field why Luke is acting the way he is.
Correct.
There's a scene with Han and Leia later in the movie about Ben Solo turning, and he even says, Han says, Luke couldn't save him. How can I? She said, yeah, Luke's a Jedi, but you're his father. And we get that off in The Rise of Skywalker of his turn.
Yes.
So
Yes.
the main two characters, I think, Rey and Kylo Ren, had a great trajectory. And then Rey's whole journey is self-discovery. That's what I've always described this trilogy as, her self-discovery and independence.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She's looking for a new mentor, a new figure to help her guide her path.
Right.
And then, like you mentioned with her grabbing the saber, that wasn't her being called to. That was the saber calling to her, is it's your story. You can do this yourself.
Correct.
You don't need anyone else.
Correct.
You've been alone,
Correct.
and you've been able to do this alone. You don't need anyone else.
Yes.
Yeah, so like this movie sets up all that. There's some choices maybe that didn't quite always work down the line, or maybe were a little not executed perfectly, but to act like this movie was abandoned or messed everything up, or the trilogy wasn't that great, I think is a big load of shit. I think people are either they're not paying attention or they truly just don't know storytelling. That's my thing. Maybe both.
There are lots of factors. But to me, I think especially this film has so many wonderful things that it is that the few things that I find that are not really that don't really work, they're so small for me that I'm not bothered by it. And the moment you start getting nitpicky about Star Wars movies, you're in the wrong franchise.
Yeah, for real.
Because all of the movies have weird. Empire is the other one that I'm like trying to look for a mistake and I can't find it. All the other ones, they have things that I'm sort of like, okay, we're moving on. Moving on. And so I'm not going to fault a whole movie for a few things that I find that they're just I love much more than what I
dislike,
find problematic or that I want to be critical about. I just don't see it.
And that's the
go ahead.
That's the other thing about this movie that I find fascinating is I remember after this movie and before The Last Jedi, we'll get to that movie eventually, but this movie, I feel like, was universally loved. I mean, there was a few people that didn't like it, but I feel like majority of people loved this movie when it came out. I feel like now the tune has changed. Some people have turned their back on it or flipped the script, but I feel like this movie, I remember everybody was hyped. Everybody loved this movie. Most people I knew. I don't remember many people being really critical of this movie. I don't know what your experience was.
I knew actually quite a few. But then Last Jedi came out and they found their favorite thing to hate.
Right.
So then Force Awakens sort of disappeared because the one to hate was Last Jedi.
Right.
Which is my favorite of the three. But I found a lot of, at least in the Chicago area, I found a lot of sort of friction against this movie. I did. But nothing like Last Jedi. Last Jedi was...
It could be a generational thing, too.
It could be a generational thing.
The millennial generation and even the younger generation, I think they really enjoyed it. From what I remember. I was 20 years old.
When I teach my Star Wars class, I don't have to convince anybody anything about the sequel trilogy because
they were children.
They are right there. Because these people were in high school when the movie came out.
Or younger, yeah.
Or they were younger when the movie came out. And so when we do our gender conversation and I pair characters, we do Leia and Amidala together, and then I throw Rey and Kylo together. And the room just explodes. I don't have to do anything. I just put those two words on the board.
They just
I don't have to say shit. I don't have to say shit.
Make your job so easy.
The class teaches itself. And so it's really interesting that in that generation, in that younger generation, I don't hear those things. There are some people that have issues with it, but that's fine.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's not like I have to be in the room persuading them to see the film. Or persuading them that Rey and Kylo and Poe and Finn are interesting characters. I don't have to do any of that. So I think you're right. I think it's generational.
Yeah.
I think it's a generational issue. And I think moving forward, it's interesting when Rogue One comes out, thus the Christmas after Force Awakens. The people that didn't like Force Awakens love Rogue One.
Yeah, they do.
And so they keep saying, oh no, that's the real Star Wars movie, not Force
That's the
Awakens.
one we wanted. Yeah.
Right, because that's what they wanted. And so it's really interesting how as we start adding films to it,
How the
Force
narrative-
Awakens gets into different places.
Right.
Which is the other really interesting things about the sequel trilogy, that people start comparing and contrasting one film with the other and how things connect. So, any final thoughts? We're not here for the next 24 hours.
I could talk about this movie all day, but
Yes, well, I could too, but
I do love it. It's a top 5 Star Wars movie for me, I think.
oh yeah, for me too.
For me too. I mean, I can just put this movie on anytime and just enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope I don't have to wait 30 years to get one of those short story novelizations of,
Well, we might never get them.
I hope the
I don't know.
will change over these movies like they did for the prequels.
I am so hoping.
We're
I'm
getting more
so hoping.
with the
Yeah.
sequel. So
I am so hoping that before the year is over, that they release it in the movie theaters as a 10th anniversary.
that would be cool.
That would be so nice. I would love to see it on a big screen.
I did forget to tell you this. Dragon Con this
What?
year, they did have a 10-year anniversary panel, and John Boyega was at Dragon Con.
Really?
He was there. I didn't get to meet him. The time I was there, he was not around. I'm not sure where he was.
Okay.
But the panel I didn't get to go to because it was on the last day. It was like one of the last panels they did. They like kind of pushed it to the bottom
On Monday?
on a Monday. So it was disappointing
okay.
because it was like Monday at 1 o'clock. And I'm like,
Oh,
most people are gone
hard.
by then. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I was kind of disappointed. I was hoping it would have been, a different day, but I don't know.
Yeah, one of the things that I found interesting about Celebration in Tokyo when I was there is that there was nothing about Force Awakens.
It's all the Revenge of the Sith stuff.
Nothing about Force Awakens. There was no anniversary panel. It was a shorter celebration. Usually, celebration is 4 days. This was only 3 days. And, you have got to fly all these people from wherever they live to Tokyo.
Yeah.
So it is. I understand that financially that's tricky, but it's the Force Awakens. And I was very surprised. I was expecting a Revenge of the Sith panel and a Force Awakens panel, and we did not get a Force Awakens panel. I was a little sad about that.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that Dragon Con had one, and even if it was at the very end of
The convention.
at the very end of the convention, but still, anyway. Well, thank you, Nick.
Thank you. I enjoyed this. I just hope this movie gets appreciated and loved like the prequels did. I think it will eventually. It just might take some time.
I think so too.
It's going to age nicely, I think.
It's not feeling worse as I watch it throughout the years. It feels it's very fresh and really fun and exciting. And you're right about what you said before. The actors really make the film. I mean, those 3 actors, and then Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher. It's just really nice watching a Star Wars movie with a lot of really good actors that are really sort of embedded in the characters, and that is just pretty wonderful.
Well, thank you,
All
Carmelo.
right, thank you, Nick, and thank you, audience, and may the Force be with everyone.